Welcome back to the Retro Hunting Adventures. I am your host, Mr. MegaManFan, and if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. Leave your comments below, and all that stuff. This is Ms. Pac-Man in miniature arcade cab form from my arcade. Now, previously I've heard mixed reviews about the My Arcade line of products, but I found this one on sale at Walgreens, marked $15 off, so I thought for a review for this channel, it would be a worthwhile pickup, because if it sucks, I'm not out a lot of money, and if it doesn't suck, then maybe you'd want to pick one up yourself. It's interesting that it says it takes 4 AA batteries, and that no power brick or power cord are included. First of all, that's pretty cheap if you're paying the full retail price for this thing, which can be over $30 at some of the stores. Not to mention the fact that I feel like in this day and age, assuming everybody has a power cord is a bridge too far. I get that iPhones do that nowadays because they assume you're upgrading from a previous iPhone, but I don't think that's an assumption you should make when you're selling a home product to a novelty collector who may not have anything else like this. This could be a one-off. This could be some executive's desk toy, and well, I guess they probably would have a charge cord now, wouldn't they? But maybe somebody like mom or dad who remembers playing Ms. Pac-Man when they were a kid, maybe they don't have a charge cord for this. So you have to buy your own cord if you want to use it on a power brick, and you have to buy a power brick if you don't already have one. That just feels cheap to me. One of the ones that I heard really bad reviews of was Street Fighter 2 because of the button layout, so I don't think I'd be picking that one up. And there's a lot of them in this fold-out poster that I've never even seen for sale anywhere. Elevator action? Bubble Bobble? I've never come across those. And what's the point of putting a blank cab that says coming soon on the poster? Is that a teaser? Is it supposed to make you want to collect them all like Pokemon? To me, it's a form of advertising and you're not even advertising anything. Well, anyway, here's the instruction manual, which is in English and a variety of languages. I don't think I need to show you each and every one of them. You get the idea. It's written for a whole bunch of countries so they can sell it in a whole bunch of places without having to change the packaging too much. And of course, we've got the actual miniature arcade cab right here. And I have to say right away, one thing I noticed is that for the premium price that you might end up paying for this, it doesn't feel very premium to hold. Remember how I talked about holding the analog pocket felt good because it had a certain amount of heft and weight? This thing doesn't. It feels plastic, hollow, and cheap. So if you spent more than $30 on this thing, you'd probably feel insulted when you got it out of the box at how flimsy it feels, which is a good reason to put batteries in it, because believe it or not, the batteries actually give it the heft and weight that it needs and makes it feel more premium. And when you have to do that just to make a product feel decent to hold, that's kind of a problem. Also kind of a problem how hard it was to peel off this sticker over the LCD screen, but after some prying and some poking, I finally managed to get the corner of it to peel up and then lift off in one smooth piece, but I could easily see it tearing for somebody and becoming a real hassle to scrape off. At least the artwork they put on it is pretty decent, and the battery compartment is tucked away nicely in the back, so it's not obtrusive in any way. And as I noted, when you load in these batteries, it actually starts to feel more premium because then it weighs down the unit. And it doesn't feel unbalanced either with the batteries in the back. It actually adds stability even though it loads all of the weight on one side. So some good design work otherwise, even though it feels kind of plastic and hollow on the whole. So you've got a start button, a reset button, and the coin door lights up when you turn it on. You'll notice right away it says copyright 2019 BNEI. And if that seems familiar, then you've probably played any of the recent Namco collections that you can download on Nintendo Switch, among other consoles. And if you've downloaded those, you're familiar with what these are. These are ports of NES games. You're not getting Ms. Pac-Man, the arcade game, even though they put it in an arcade cabinet with an arcade marquee and arcade artwork on the sides. You're getting the NES port of Ms. Pac-Man. And if you like that port, then this is fine. But if you were paying a premium price thinking this would be the arcade version of Ms. Pac-Man in a miniature form, then you were deceived. So buyer beware when it comes to that. And I think that's a problem that's inherent with all of these My Arcade products, is they tend to use NES ROMs as opposed to the original games in their arcade form. Now, if they were going to use a home conversion, I would have gone with Sega Genesis, especially since it offers more options and lets you do more things like play mazes that were never in the original game. But maybe they thought that would be too confusing for people, so they used the most bare-bones simple port that they could. And in doing so, they also used one that's, in my view, less faithful to the arcade game. It just doesn't play as well as Ms. Pac-Man would play if you're used to playing it on the arcade version. You know what this makes me think? I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I'm not telling you not to spend your money if you're so inclined, because maybe you just want a little display piece that looks nice in your collection, but I have a feeling if you built yourself a miniature cab and put the very lowest bog standard Raspberry Pi inside of it and installed RetroPie and MAME, you would have a much more satisfying playing experience for Ms. Pac-Man than you would playing it this way. And that's not even getting into the controls. I mean, using this tiny little joystick, I'm not too keen on it. I feel like having an actual D-pad controller in my hand would be better, and obviously having a straight-up joystick would be preferable to that. But either way, you're not going to be able to do that here because there's no way to plug in controllers. There's no USB port. There's no Bluetooth connectivity. You're not getting any frills with this. Despite the prices that they're charging for these My Arcade boxes, they're not any better than the Arcade Classics line that you could get for the longest time at Walmart and Target, Best Buy, etc. There were games like Spy Hunter, Dig Dug, Galaxian, and they were basically the same quality as this. The same plastic, the same weight, the same non-arcade standard versions, the same recycling of ROMs from home ports, and they were charging far less than My Arcade is charging for these things. Like, I bought Joust on clearance at a Walmart for $9, and I think I got Spy Hunter for either $9 or $15. Usually they were going for $20, and most of the time when I see these My Arcade ones, they're going for $30 or $35. With the discount, I got this one for $15, and it still feels like I might have paid a little bit too much at $15. It's just not a premium product. It's not just because it's NES, and it's not just because it takes 4 AA batteries. It's just everything. It's just, it could have been a better version of Ms. Pac-Man or the actual arcade version. It could have come with a brick. It could have come with a cord. It could have been rechargeable. You could have charged it up and then played it once you had it charged. But they're so cheap with this, they're not going to put a rechargeable battery in there, let alone a power brick or a power cord. So you literally are getting what you pay for with this My Arcade device. And yet, as a novelty, if it was cheap, like, I'm not even saying $15, which is what I paid, but maybe for $5 or $10, if you saw this at a Five Below or a pawn shop for cheap, then yeah, get one, put it on your table, play it once in a while just for a laugh. But there are so many better ways to play Ms. Pac-Man than this. I would even say just play it on the NES, because you're already playing the NES ROM anyway. So if you want to play this version of Ms. Pac-Man, just play it on an original Nintendo Entertainment System or through an emulator play a ROM of it, because essentially that's what you're doing here. You're playing a ROM through an emulator, and you can't even change which ROM you're playing. You get one, and that's it. So, Ms. Pac-Man is not on my recommended buy list at the full retail price. Only if you found this liquidated or on clearance would I say to get it. It's one other feature that they advertise on the box. The joystick is removable, so you could actually play this with just the D-pad. But I don't know that that really makes it any more or less better in this form factor with the ROM that they're using. It's an option. It's an interesting option. It kind of reminds me of Atari 7800 joypads. I believe those were the ones that had the little stick that screwed in or screwed out. Maybe I'm thinking of Sega Master System pads, but it feels like it was Atari 7800. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'd have to go look at my controllers and see which one of them has that screw hole in the middle. And I'm pretty sure it was Atari 7800's D-pads that had that. And those weren't even pack-in controllers. You had to import those because the standard Atari 7800 controller was a very big, oversized joystick with two separate fire buttons on the left and right. And some people really like that controller, and I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I tend to play more with the D-pad or the special NES pad that I got wired up to be 9-pin and correctly wired to the Atari 7800 fire buttons. I probably use that one or the Sega Genesis converter that I showed off in a previous video that allows me to use a wireless Bluetooth 9-pin remote receiver to play those games using an 8-bit DOE Genesis controller. Anyway, I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been the Retro Hunting Adventures, and I don't strongly recommend my arcade Ms. Pac-Man. I can only say if you get it for a cheap price, maybe it'll be a little fun for you. Hey, at least it has a headphone jack and a 5-volt input on the back, so you can put on your headphones and play it, and you can plug in power, but you gotta buy the power yourself.